Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Umesh, and today we have a special guest with us, Sourabh Ahuja. He is currently working as a senior product manager at Apollo.io, and previously Saurabh has worked in various organizations like big names like Flipkart. And Saurabh is here to talk about product management, the nitty gritties of product management. The love-hate relationship between software engineering and product managers. So let's welcome Saurabh. Hi, Saurabh. Thank you for coming over. How are you?
Hey Umesh, thanks for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. So, Saurabh, to start things off, like the cliche question, what's your journey like from how did that product thing, like बचपन से ही you are like नहीं मुझे तो product manager बनना है sort of a thing. How did this all started?
Actually, I started my education with like every other person in India. I started my education as an engineer, and वहाँ जाके ही पता लग गया in the first year के ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा.
Which
And
engineering college?
IIT Roorkee.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yes, so very beautiful campus, lovely place, amazing facilities, but mechanical engineering नहीं समझ में आई. तो second year say I started taking all my electives like economics and marketing and pretty much half my MBA course I had done in IIT only. So of course I did not take up a core job and moved directly to an MBA. And there I majored in marketing and strategy. But at that point in time, the main focus was that I want to do something closer to business rather than technical. So and product management was not very popular also back then. I actually not did not know what product management meant back then. So I joined Vodafone, which was one of the good companies that came on campus. So MBA में ऐसा होता है like on one day 20 companies come, you apply, and it's a complete blur, and wherever you get placed you just get happy with that. So I was pretty happy. It was a good name, and Vodafone has a beautiful policy that they throw you at least 700 kilometers from your hometown. So me all most of my school life living in North India, suddenly I landed up in Vellore selling SIM cards in a 50-degree heat. So I didn't know what happened to me. Suddenly, a college boy who's used to live the spend all their time with their friends was alone in an alien land where no one even understood my language. So that was fun.
I can
So
imagine.
so from there, I understood that I need to do something which is very core to the business, and I landed on a product called M-Pesa, where I
Okay.
first worked with the product team. So it was a wallet-based product, and they were trying to become, a bank from just a wallet. And I was part of the that transformation and working closely with the product team on making that shift happen. So that was my first taste of product management, and that is when I thought, "के ये कर सकते हैं, like this is fun." So that is where it started. But as things would have it, Geo launched in another year, and all telcos, including Vodafone, was just helter skelters and just saving their core business. So M-Pesa was scaled back down, and since they launched Geo Cinema, Vodafone had to launch their own product. So I joined there again as a product manager, and that was my first stint as a growth PM. So 1.5 years we scaled the product up, started from ground zero. So amazing fun. But then Vodafone and Idea merged, and it was complete chaos. I had to move out, and I went to Hotstar, and then I went to Flipkart. But I was more on an exploration mode, so I explored more into marketing side, and then after again 2 years, I realized no, I think product management is where I was good at, and that was the most exciting part of it. But I also wanted to keep the growth side of things. So yeah, one day randomly Christian reached out to me on LinkedIn, and yeah, as it would have it, I'm here at Apollo.io and we are working together.
Yes. For those of who, I think most of the people are not aware that Saurabh and I are part of the same team. He's the one who's, driving my OKRs, at least product ones. So, so Saurabh, pretty nice journey. It's like more like for every other person in India, like hit and trial, give it a shot, explore key and all, something we like, something natural progression to that, and then pretty nice names: Hotstar, Flipkart, and now Apollo, rapid growing. So lots of fun, I can imagine. So,
Yeah.
but what's it like to be a product manager? Like if someone, let's say a layman, and you have to make them understand what is product management and what do you do, how would you tell them?
I wish I could make my parents understand what product management is.
Let's not talk about impossible tasks.
uh, I'll give it a shot. It's actually very different. So product management roles can be very, very different in two different organizations. So how I see is that a PM should be very flexible on what their day-to-day responsibilities are, and depending on the organization and the existing resources that they have, somehow they fit into that and fill in those missing gaps, at least for the time being. And uh, but the major goal for them is that the product should be a success. And how they do that is, one, uh, show up for your user. So on the business table, you represent the user, and when sales, marketing, or any other function would say that we need to do this and that, the product managers should represent the user on that table and say, no, this would impact user experience and we should not do that. So product manager should definitely be a keeper of user experience. That is the primary responsibility, but as I started with, it can be very, very different in two organizations.
What I gather from it is it's more like the first and foremost be a user's advocate in the organization, that think about from the end user point of view. Maybe engineering is proposing something or marketing is proposing something, but you are the one who's bringing the user side of things, that no, we should do this or that because it impacts our users in this way, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
What difference do you see in like full time remote? Are there any challenges, or what's your experience like?
Hmm. I think full-time remote does have its own challenges, but so does in-office jobs. So the the benefit is that I don't have to commute and in the heat and look for and be at the mercy of Uber cabs. So that's obviously the best part. But obviously there are challenges. You can't uh, imitate what it's like a face-to-face interaction over Zoom.
Yes.
But basically, what I mean to say is you can't bring in those same processes which you are doing in office processes into a remote job. So you need to be more cautious of that and tweak your processes accordingly for a remote job. So you need to be more responsive on Slack. You need to document things in a much better way and try to do things in an async manner, by which I mean that you write things in such a way that a person does not have to ask clarifying questions upon that. So I think that's the base ground level thing that you need to take care of when you're in a remote job, so that you respect everyone and respect everyone's time, and so that they can work flexible hours and be more productive in their job.
Yeah, I liked you talked about async because I feel that companies who are moving to remote, that there is one thing being remote, that you're working from XYZ place, and it's altogether another thing working async. You need to understand that like when you go remote, then these work hand in hand. Like I personally like in our culture, or when we work together, that I can work maybe late at night, or I can work XYZ hours, and there are like a sync grooming happening, and you ask questions and we answer those, or maybe we can, and documentation you mentioned, and it is very valuable to anyone. So async working and async, groomings and all those are very important. I
I
agree on that.
I can give you a very simple example. I used to work remote in my previous organization as well, uh, but it was an office job working from home, not a remote job. So every day 10:30 a.m. I used to get a call from my manager, and we used to discuss what I would do during the day, and I would end my day at around 7 when the meetings would get over, or when I would close my work after the meetings are done. Here, I just meet with my manager once a week for an hour, and we align on what I'm going to do for the rest of the week. And then it's just any updates are done over Slack, and I take a break between 6 to 8 in the evening where I just go out for a walk, or go play tennis. So, and yeah, I do work at my own time when I feel most productive.
Yeah, and I think this kind of culture also promotes very good work life balance, that you find time for to do other things. So, as a product manager, what's your process like when it comes to taking a decision? That how that framework? Can you tell us more about that?
Mhm. Um, so when it comes to taking a decision, it's like a daily, you take multiple decisions during the day, week, and quarter. Decisions could be as small as how big this button should be, sitting with the designer and taking that call, to uh, sitting at a management meeting and deciding whether or not we should build a feature, and whether or not it would make sense for the business. Uh, so there's no simple framework. I think smaller decisions are built on more like product intuition. And a very unpopular opinion, I would say, is that product intuition can be built over time, and it's not something that is inbuilt. So um, I come from a core B2C background with more than 5 years of experience there. And when I came to Apollo, it was a B2B platform. And I was very nervous when I joined. But after almost a year and a half here, I can very confidently say that it can be built over time. And how it can be done is simply talking to users. So go and set up calls with them. If they are not willing to do that, you can compensate them for their time. Give them a $10 or $20 gift card to hop on a call for 30 minutes. Do that. Incentivize users who have not visited your website ever. Give them a higher incentive and ask them to use your platform on screen share for the first time. And of course, you have to look at data day in and day out. I'm almost oversimplifying it, but first thing that I look for is the opportunity of doing something. So, uh, what do we gain to do from doing a particular thing or not? And attaching that opportunity value against everything that we are planning to do, that actually brings in a lot of value into your prioritization framework. And communicating that value to your stakeholders as well is very important, and motivates them to work on a certain thing. So the first thing I look for is opportunity. The second thing that I look for is, if we do not work on these things, how would the users uh, work around? So is there a workaround for that? Then apart from the opportunity value, I then also look at how it is contributing to the product and the company strategy at an overall level. So there might be things which bring in a higher value for our users, or a certain metric, but the product or the company strategy might be slightly different and wants you to work in a certain direction because there are larger forces at play that you want to do. I think so. These are the three basic things that you need to look at while taking any decisions. And the final thing that you look at on whether you want to do it or not is effort, on what is the cost of doing that. So yeah, I think those are the four things. If you look at, you would be able to take a decision. And
in our company and all, like in or in I think in any good company, they're like very open and transparent. So I can see the conversations happening, talking about users and their problems, and you're always behind us putting instrumentation, like track in amplitude, track in that, and taking decisions based on data. I mean, like I personally seen that you given us like A/B test. We recently did a some changes to the system and testing that, and I can see the on amplitude. So seeing that on any tracking system and making a decision that A is working or B is working, I mean that's a, for me as an engineer, that to start with, that seems a good base to start with. Actually, we have data to measure. It's not like कि हवा हवा में बात कर रहे हैं कि हाँ यूजर को तो यही ठीक लगेगा कर दो.
when
So
when you see that data, you feel more motivated to invest more in that direction.
yeah, because you have like hardcore stats to validate your hypothesis. So that is, I think, the most important. So sort of, we talked about product management, how to start with it, what's it like, and all. Let's go back to college days and all. Any memories from college days, from IT or from your MBA, like to share?
There are just so many, but I loved Roorkee. I mean, it's just very close to my heart. And जब भी हरिद्वार जाते हैं, I make sure we stop there and visit the campus and sip a coffee at Al Pahar, which was our college canteen, under the shade of the trees, and then go on to the sports ground. Uh, I used to take electives in such a way that 4 to 6 is always free, because that was the only time when I used to get to play badminton. उसके बाद 6 o'clock के बाद all the inter-IIT and the champions used to play. So 4 to 6 was the time when I used to play badminton. Like, it was like almost an everyday affair. I simply love that.
I think I remember I seeing some Netflix documentary. I don't remember it, was it on Roorkee or Kharagpur, like the that
It was in
fest
Khadak.
that whole festival building and that wall of light. I remember, and
It's very grand. The festivals are very grand.
that whole placement thing. People searching for shoes, asking shoes, sharing things. Did that happen with you? Did you sit for IT placements that time?
I did, but it was not as memorable as it was in the MBA, when FMS, when everyone was just sitting in a hall, and one by one everyone would get placed. And there was a very fun thing which happened. So every time someone would get placed, the main place com person, the placement committee person, would come into the room where everyone is sitting, and tap the duster twice and say, call out their name and say, step out. And that was a literal goosebump moment for everyone, for that person and everyone around them. And when everyone would get placed, the entire placement team would come out and say, batch of 2015, step out.
Nice,
and
nice.
that was a literal goosebump moment. And I think that was even more special than the cap flying moment after the convocation.
I've seen in my friends who you know who did MBA that it's very fast paced, like 3 semesters in a year. If is that same across the board or not?
So FMS is 2 semesters a year, but all the other IMs are 3 trimesters a year.
Yeah, and it's like super fast, and placements are like full hard code kind of a thing, right?
At one point of time, I did not remember which interview I was sitting for. So I would just make generic statements because I did not remember which company I was interviewing for.
That's nice. सबको go in and सबको sir. I am very hardworking, sir. Hire me, sir.
Yeah, something like that.
Nice. Yeah, I remember my college period. So my memories are like it was more like a rat race. No, no, you need to get placed, no matter what.
Of course, it's a rat race. It's up to you to make it fun. I used to crack jokes in my interviews,
I
and very bad jokes.
PJs, huh?
Yes.
Maybe that worked.
Yeah, I got placed in both of the ones which I made those bad jokes.
Maybe this is a advice to upcomers. We go for PJs and dad jokes.
Keep it fun, keep it light.
So on the note of keeping fun and light, so how it's like a product team and engineering team? What's it like to work with engineers?
It's like every other, boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. It has both its good and bad sides. There are
And
there are times when you work absolutely smoothly when everything is in agreement, but there are other times when whatever you try to do, you don't seem to reach an alignment or a middle ground. So I think it's very similar to what you would see there in a relationship, and it is unlike any other stakeholder on the board.
yeah, like I mentioned, it's more. I feel it's more like a love-hate relationship. You push back sometimes, but at the end of the day, you come to middle ground. You understand each other. So I personally I've worked with you, so I know how things work. But when it comes to Apollo, like what's the process working with the engineers? What sort of meetings and all? Just a journal brief about how things work.
Mhm. I think we work in a pretty, in terms of the process, it's pretty, we've adopted pretty standard and well-known processes. We have like a sprint planning. Our team is structured in a squad, and we have stand-ups to do the check-ins that how we are doing on the sprints. And at the end of the sprint, we do a retrospective on how we did and what we could do better. So I think we are pretty rigorous on those best practices. Um, but in terms of uh, working with engineers, I think what Apollo does much better than other organizations is that at least I try to involve the engineering team right at the beginning of a project and not when the entire requirements is gathered, when the solutioning is done, when the design is done, but right at the beginning of it, so that uh, engineering can bring in their insights on the feasibility and the effort estimation, and uh, bring in the technical side of the thing right at the front.
What I like is that, like you mentioned, that engineers are brought early on at the time of ideation or at the time of brainstorming, so that you feel invested in the project. And plus, the best practices. And what I have seen in my experience working with you and the team is that we follow best practices, but we are not like hard bound to following it everything by the textbook. We are flexible to experiment, and if something is not working out, and like retrospectives. And like retrospectives, you talk about what I have personally done my fair share of production issues, to be honest. And I've seen that in our retrospectives we are not blaming the person. It's more like blaming the process and improving it, that how can we improve overall. That's what I feel is the culture. And then it's pretty good. Like, I never seen you coming out and saying that no, 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 Umesh did this wrong, he need to improve. It's more like the team did it something and we need to improve it, kind of
Yeah,
a thing,
uh,
learn from each other.
I think one of the great parts at Apollo is that product and engineering and design are not three separate teams, and there is
Huh.
a very strong camaraderie in terms of the squad. And especially on our squad, the growth squad, I've seen that happening, and we work always together in a team, be it at the deployment stage or the ideation stage.
What do you think product and engineering can learn from each other, so, since they're working so closely? Like, there are so many engineers out there, and they when they work with their PMs, so what they can learn from each other?
Mhm. I think what PMs can learn from engineering is, of course, the technical side of thing on how systems work, on how databases are structured, how front end and back end talk to each other, how what's the process of estimating a certain task, and so that the product managers, like I said, that a product intuition can be built. So a part of that intuition is also that they understand on at least at a high level that if they get a certain requirement, is it something trivial, or it will require a significant effort. So I think if they already build in that, they will reduce a lot of back and forth between product and engineering. So that is one. And two, I think engineers have a very rigorous process mindset that they work upon, and that is, I think, the one of the best things that a PM can learn from an engineering team. And on the other side, an engineering team, I can say, can from a product manager can learn about how to look at data. So amplitude खोल के reports देखना ही नहीं है. It also means that how you are, what data to look at is also very important at certain times. So I think that is one thing, and two, obviously, building a feedback loop on what the users are thinking, so that the engineering team also builds a certain level of product intuition within them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's always good to know the other side and the whole stack. Like in our team, we have a good culture of kudos. Like, we specifically have a channel calling out people and appreciating everyone who's part. And but I've seen in my past experiences also that who's implementing gets the praise, but product managers sometimes take a back seat. They're like more of a unsung hero. So one more thing. So it is very obvious that when you work in a team, there are disagreements, be it with your manager, be it with engineering, product, and all. So what's your advice on how to handle disagreements?
Mm-hmm. Uh, I think disagreements will always happen. If you are in a place where there are no disagreements, then probably you are not in the right place where people are not challenging you enough.
Yeah.
So I think one thing to keep in mind is that don't take the disagreement personally. Uh, if the culture of the team and the company is good, almost everyone will be working towards the betterment of the product and the business, and uh, there might just be something that you are missing, which the other person is thinking, and not you are not able to do that. So I think when you're going into that discussion, try to put yourself in their shoes and ask them why ask them why they are saying a certain thing, and not respond immediately to what they are saying, and try to put in your point of view. So I think once the other person is heard, and then you can truly understand why they are saying so, and then you can uh, try to reach a middle ground, and try to do, again, the overarching thing definitely should be that you're doing what's best for your customer and your product and business. Definitely keep in mind while hiring at Apollo is that we don't hire people who have big egos. So that's one of the checks in the culture fitment at the product and engineering team here.
Yeah, A players. Hire the A players.
Yeah.
I and on that note, we are always hiring, so you can go to Apollo's career website and check out our openings. So, Saurabh, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about your journey, what it's like to be a product manager and product engineering and everything. So, to end things, just any brief advice to upcoming product manager aspirants, like क्या करना चाहिए? Just a brief thing.
uh, I think two things. Make data your best friend, and always keep talking to your users and keep showing up for them. I think if you do these two things, the rest everything will fall into place.
Nice. Thank you so much for that advice. I hope you enjoy the whole conversation and
Yep.
thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So, guys, this was the video, and please sort of tell them to like, share, and subscribe, please.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, everyone. See you later. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.